Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of the Noisy Neighbours podcast. As usual, joined by my little brother Christian. Christian, how are we doing today, mate?
Yeah, mate. Honestly, good one. Yesterday was a bit of fun, weren't it, on the watch along? So
Yeah, no,
we
it
had a
was
bit of a
great,
laugh.
yeah.
There was some, there was some funny moments. To be fair, I was watching
Yeah,
it back and just having a giggle today. Honestly,
yeah, no, it was fun and obviously a lot more fun. The game was a lot more fun than I expected as well.
it was. Do
I,
you know what? It was one of the best games I've watched this season. To be fair,
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I mean, obviously the thing that goes around on Twitter is sort of pure Barclays, and it just was a bit of a throwback to the
yeah,
maybe early 2000s of just end-to-end madness and two teams, two massive rivals giving it everything on a like snowy game. It was great, and yeah, obviously we'll get to the red side. I think we should start with yourselves. Obviously, won the last game against Leicester, and then go into a nice sort of West Ham at home. They are defensively
yeah,
shocking, and you go and win 4-1 with a bit more. I know last time we mentioned it wasn't really vintage against Leicester. This definitely had elements of vintage
mm,
and some traits that obviously I'm sure you'll get into. So I
yeah.
suppose, yeah, I mean, how did you see the game? A good 4-1 win, and what sort of stuff are you looking to build on from that?
Yeah, there was a lot of positive to take. Main one, we got Haaland back in the goals. He seems to be rolling again. Foden getting another goal is huge for us. The main thing for me was Savinho looked really good on the left.
Mm.
We touched on it like previously. We said we thought it'd be a good idea to put him out there. Like I said to you previously, he's been. I watched some Girona highlights, and predominantly he played on the left. So it was a bit
Yeah.
strange. Like he isn't a cut in and slap it merchant. And I think the pressure was building with this no goals thing. Weirdly, you're going to see more output because you'll take the pressure off the guy. And in all honesty, I've always said to you, I really like the way he plays. I never really liked the Mahrez comparisons. I think that was just building him up to fail straight away.
Yeah, same
Um,
squad number did like sort of fed
Catalogue.
into it a little bit.
Yeah, I
Whenever
mean,
the
he fed into it himself, in fairness, because he said it was his favourite player and he's took his squad number. But yeah, listen, there was a lot of positive to take. The Savio one's a good one, but like you said, there was some vintage moments as well in the game. I have said this to you, we are going to see these moments where we're going to play eye of the needle passes. It'll look good, but ultimately the frailties,
yeah,
do still stand. I mean, on another day, I'm not going to lie, mate, we could have been
yeah.
2-0 down in the first 10
Yeah,
minutes.
I mean, obviously, I watched the game and I text you. It was just before the goal, I think, and I text you saying Somerville and Kudos really
I can use
doing
the
what we
internet
have
myself.
seen
I can go on there and I
Leicester
can
teams
find
do in
Carlos
this bad
Vela,
run.
who came through the books at
Really
Arsenal,
lacked
and I'll
that
go,
sort of
oh, at this
quality, to
age,
be honest.
he
But
could have
they
been this.
had
His
real
stats were
good
the same as Cristiano
situations,
Ronaldo
and
at this place.
Somerville
But,
was
oh,
sort of
no, I
just
won't bring up
running
that because
straight through
Carlos
again.
Vela flopped off, and I
Yeah,
God knows where
you
he ended
kind
up.
of
You know what I
offset. We
mean?
spoke last time
So, but you, of
about
course, you won't bring that
the
up because it
sort of
doesn't back your
the
argument.
moments
There
in
is,
the final third that you still can have with sort of your sort of players who are getting on a little bit, which obviously you have that in De Bruyne, but then also, like you said, Foden and Savio, who haven't been really
back.
coming up with anything,
On my back now.
had a good game, both of them. So it was very positive from that side. I just don't
Back
think we're
now.
going to get away from the frailties unless
No, listen, and there's things that need to be looked at. And to be honest, mate, at the moment, it's about getting through these games. I don't think many City fans are watching the last two performances and they're thinking we're back. We're not. We've beat two teams that ultimately we should beat convincingly. And
yeah,
yeah, we did. I'm not going to say we did win convincingly, but there was moments that I'm seriously concerned. I mean, I even text you when they got one back, and I was like, if they come back and do like similar to that Champions League match, we're having an emergency live stream or something because it.
yeah,
And I was genuinely worried they were piling the pressure on after they got
yeah,
that one back, and I was like, it can't. Which thank God
yeah.
it didn't. But
Yeah, that's it. I mean, obviously the Champions League game was at Feyenoord.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Scoffed the 3-0 lead away, but yeah, I mean, look, West Ham have been sort of I think obviously sacking Moyes and getting Lopetegui was sort of their way of, and a few teams have done this, in the Prem particularly, where they've gone for a shiny new foreign name as their manager, and against the old dinosaur in Moyes, and it's just backfired massively. It just shows you how well Moyes did set them up, and I think that that's the thing with West Ham. They was a nice matchup for you, even though the threat on the break, but they're letting in 4-3 every single game.
The one good thing I will say from City that I did see, and it was the press, because we have not a big like part of how we used to play was pressing teams into oblivion and forcing mistakes, even against the top sides. I mean, especially the smaller sides, we used to absolutely kill them. But we haven't seen that as much. And to be fair, we've got a guy up front who's 6'4". He's an absolute powerhouse. We're all complaining that he doesn't touch the ball enough. Okay, fair enough. If that's the way we're playing, that we just want him to ultimately be a fox in the box, then it is what it is. However, we can still use the best of Hojlund, and especially if you're playing Doku and Savio either side, you've got to be pressing the front line into oblivion. The back line, sorry. So
the press. I mean, we spoke about this, haven't we? During sort of, I think it was after the Villa game, and it was sort of like what has happened to the press and what, how do you get it back really? And obviously we touched on age and sort of stamina, but like you said, there's still that front three that started on Saturday, Foden, Haaland and Savio.
There's no excuse.
All mid-20s or younger, it's so. Obviously, when you had the older, obviously it's not just three players. You need that support of the press, which you're not going to get with De Bruyne and Silva. So you're still not going to be able to suffocate teams. But like you said, you got a goal out of it on Saturday with Foden. So, I mean, really good. I mean, I think considering everything, I mean, look, two wins out of two when you've won 3 in 12 is really good. So. I think, considering everything, it was probably the best game you've had for the foreseeable past. I can't think back to a game where because the bad streak was coming, wasn't it? You felt it coming with the Wolves last minute goal against.
There was definitely an element of limping over the line in games.
Traore was missing one-on-ones for fun in that it was a 3 o'clock game. So you felt like after the Rodri injury you tread water a little bit, but it felt like, well, I mean, obviously we thought maybe like 1 or 2 losses was coming. It grew to something considerably worse. But honestly, I think Saturday was definitely one of your better performances of probably the season, from my memory. I'm sure there was probably.
I think the thing is for me, Alex, it's like, I expect the frailties of the back line because we're missing Rodri, and also, which I do want to get onto in a minute, about our back line in general. I think, to be fair, all of them need to be questioned apart from Diaz, who, when he's come in, however his fitness is hugely in doubt, but when he has come in, he looks good. But the rest of them, we need to be looking at all of them at this point. Pep's come out and said, whatever you've done for me in the past, it's not a free pass now to just ghost for the future. Like, if this is it, if certain players are spent and they are done, and by the way, I put a lot of names in that hat that I wouldn't have even thought I was putting in. Like John Stones, he has put some good performances in, but this year he has not been at it when he's been playing, and a lot of City fans have never really mentioned it about him, but he doesn't look at it at all. I know his fitness has always been an issue, but even when he's coming in now,
for the last few seasons, he's just been injured loads. But then in the international tournaments, he's managed to play every game. It's obviously can go that way, can't it?
That's when we've seen the best of him, unfortunately.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Unfortunately for us.
Obviously, it seems post treble when he ended up in midfield for a bit. It's not really. He's been in and out a lot, and obviously defence. I mean, Akanji was. On Saturday, he was pissing around on it, and Somerville probably was just a foul, but nicked it. Kind of went through Akanji, but it was like a loose touch. He's dwelling on it. Gvardiol's at it.
Oh, it's been a mess. The whole of the back line, like I say, other than Diaz, the whole of the back line need to be looked at. I know we're looking in the market now, but it's getting things over the line in January that's a difficult one as well, and it's who do you go for?
Yeah, centre back obviously is it's not something that I've really sort of picked for you in January. But if a guy's available, like you said, I mean, sometimes you can go into January and pick. It's almost you don't go in with a plan. You almost pick the best from what's available. An agent, is he from Lons? Is he? I think it's centre back. I'm not sure. But it's almost like okay, we want a DM, but I mean, you also don't want to waste money on a DM. If like you said, a centre back's available, you might just go and get him. Same problem United are going to have in this month.
I mean, things have been that bad. You'll probably laugh because we're obviously sharing a YouTube account at the minute. Things have got that bad. I'm not that kind of guy that like YouTube's a player as soon as they get linked, but I have actually been doing it. That's how dire things have been for us recently. So I'm there today, panic searching Mamouche on YouTube. I don't even know the guy.
Yeah. I mean, look, you've got sort of It's hard to sort of predict what's going to happen because you've had an awful run, then 2 good results, 1 good performance. So, and I was just looking then at your fixtures, and you've got another couple of favourable ones coming up. Obviously, you've got Salford in the FA Cup, but in the league, you've got Brentford away. Okay, in fairness, that's pretty tough. Brentford are quite good, and obviously pace.
We've always struggled there as well.
Yeah, their pace on the counter attack. It's a midweek game. I think there's midweek fixtures next week in the Prem. And then Ipswich away. So you have got 2 away games, but look, you win both of them. You've won 4 out of 4 going into the PSG away, and that's a must win. So obviously then the tough run that most people are talking about really lands. I'm just looking through your fixtures now. After PSG, you've got Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham, Forest, Brighton, and then you get Leicester in April. So it's...
Yeah, the Arsenal, Spurs, Newcastle, Liverpool are pretty much back to back, because I think they are back to back then.
It's in that order, yeah. So you got Chelsea at home, Arsenal.
That's going to be chaos, to be honest.
So, I mean, but momentum and confidence is a game changer. I mean, looking at that run, say 10 days ago, you was looking at maybe 6 losses. And if you could win, obviously you got the Salford game, you expect to win that. So you could, if you take care of Ipswich and Brentford and Salford.
Listen, there was positives to take from the game. I was impressed with just seeing a bit more upbeat. Like the tempo was a bit higher. We wanted it a bit more going forward. The passing was a bit crisper. We had players taking a man on, which of late it's just been passing side to side, no self-belief at all. The biggest problem for City at the minute is we do not get the ball into Hojlund. We've got a huge guy up front, and we keep moaning that we're not getting the most out of him. Well, you need to give the guy some service. He's feeding off absolute scraps.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine people have had a go at Hojlund this year, which is just ridiculous, by the way. If you take him out of the team, I don't even want to know. Well, to be fair, we've got a perfect example. We'd basically be the same as United.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you're right. I mean that's the thing is, just going back to it almost comes back to your original point with Savinho changing positions, and I've said this to you quite a lot where I'm just getting sick of average players trying to play like Robin.
Yeah.
And the skill involved in being good at that and efficient, because the thing is, it's not just about being able to cut in every so often and slap one in the top corner. You've got to be... The reason Robin became famous for it is because he was doing it once a game. And it's not just scoring from it, it's the gravity you attract from cutting in. Where you go in, and because alarm bells are ringing, as soon as Robin decked inside, centre back and a midfielder are drawn to him, and it created space. The problem you got with a lot of players now who want to do that, and it's almost every winger now, isn't it, that wants to do it. Savinho was really at it, for you guys. And it's like, they're not even, you're not even getting clean shots off and scoring, but you're also not creating any gravity because people know what you're going to do. Like, Doku doesn't really attract the second guy because if you're a fullback with pace, I know there's this joke about the age of his fullback when he plays them, but it's because they're not striking the fear into him. They're not pulling players out of position either. Robin was amazing at it. Robin wasn't just accurate at shooting. He also had amazing gravity and pull people out of their position as well. So it's flipping Savinho to the left has has stopped that. He's not going to cut in from 25 yards and shoot on his right foot. And he's had 2 crosses to Hojlund, 2 headers in the last 2 games.
It gives him an opportunity to just focus on the core fundamentals of being a winger, which he is actually very good at. He's a great dribbler. He can drop the shoulder and beat a man. He's very tricky. And to be fair, when I've seen him deliver the ball, he's got a fair few assists. I think he's on 5 or 6 Prem assists. And he's got a few in other comps as well. So we've seen he can do it. Whereas the thing is with Doku, he's a different entity altogether, because I don't believe he really has.
You okay? Just went quiet. I can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't believe he has got much other than what we see from Doku. That's the problem. No. So we're in a bit of a tricky scenario there. At least with Savinho, I do believe him and Hojlund can strike up a bit of a partnership, especially going forward in these games. Like you said, we've got a couple of games coming forward where, you know, it's a chance to capitalise a little bit.
I mean, Doku. I mean, when he goes out on that right hand side, he looks completely lost. And you do have this with players. I mean, United have had it over the last 10 years where we've had decent enough left-sided players who like to cut in. You stick them on the right and think, oh, they should be effective. They just look like they don't even know what a football pitch looks like. You know, they're stood out there, and that's Doku. Doku can only cut in, and he's just such a one-trick pony. Where Savinho looks like he has a few more strings to his bow, really. And obviously, like you said, I mean, the core, what made you a winger, say back in the 90s and probably before that, obviously before our time, but certainly in the 90s, like people talk about like Giggs' stats and, you know, his goal returns were low and stuff like that, and Beckham's goal returns. But back then, you were not meant to be a goal scorer out wide. You was meant to provide for your 2 strikers. And, you know, you look at the sort of crossing ability back then, Figo, Nedved, Beckham, Giggs, these guys were taught from a young age how to cross a ball. The problem you got now is, like I said, Doku can't even get it out of his feet on the right. You know, Rashford can't. It's this like sort of they've grown up through the academy, and probably quicker than every kid at age 13, 14. They cut in, they score in 3 a game. But when you get to the top level, you haven't got that physical advantage, and you can't cross a ball. And that's how I feel really strongly about it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I think another one as well. You know, I was a huge Leroy Sané fan at City as well. And the big thing when Sané was actually at his best was under Pep, in my opinion, and it was under Pep when Pep put him on the left. And we had that front three where it was Sané, Sterling, Aguero, or Sané, Sterling, Jesus. Then, you know, Jesus and Aguero sort of changed, but he was at his best then, and it was because he wasn't. As soon as he went to Bayern, number 10 shirt, give him a load of money, and he's cutting in every single game, slapping it, missing. I just, honestly, like you said, the Robin thing, it was the best and the worst thing to happen to football. It was the best because when he was doing it, it was fucking ridiculous. But at the same time, it's now cursed the next generation of wingers who were 18, 19, and they think they can do it. No, you can't. You're just wasting possession.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, with Robin particularly, it wasn't just... It was obviously Robin became the sort of the Robin goal. He almost has the goal named after him. But if like at the same era was like Ronaldo went onto the left a lot, Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, and eventually preferred it out there when he went to Madrid. And then you had Messi started on the right, cutting in on his left. Neymar was another one, and it was like Bale was ridiculous at it as well. So it was almost like you had that sort of. I suppose the back end of Robin was 2010-ish or whatever. From like 2006 to, well, obviously those Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar sort of, you know, died, and Bale's obviously retired now. It's like you said, that wave of amazing wide players has created this situation where they all want to do it. And what you see now is your Anthony's. You know, you sort of average Sancho who is all he can do, and it's look. I mean, I do feel like there'll be a reset at some point where you like to think academies are looking at it like, you know what, actually, I'd love United to do this. By the way, you know, our most successful period was Beckham on the right, Giggs on the left. Beckham, probably the best crosser of the ball the league has ever seen. He made a career out of it. And now we've got you look at the squad now at United, and to a certain degree, City. I know Savio's showing good signs, but it's all they want to do is the same thing, and they're not very good at it. And I mean, we paid 90 million for a guy that's not very good at it in Anthony. So
Yeah. I've actually got a
great.
point on this as well. You know, when you're saying with the academies, and you know, we look around football now, and me and you especially are like, God, the number 9 market is dry, and who do you go and buy? Do you not think that what we've been talking about has sort of contributed to this issue? Because predominantly now, your number 9s don't get much service because they've got a kid growing up now. They'll go on a left forward, so they're gonna basically put on the left wing, the right footed, and exactly what they want to do is cut inside and shoot on the right foot. Whereas the strikers that are about, they're just these like big dobbers up front, which is all we've been left with. And I think ultimately, kids now, they're not being taught to cross the ball and feed the guy in the middle. They're being taught to cut in, and you're our produce off the wing. You're our left forward striker.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I think that obviously the you know you probably are in the middle of this wave of kids, you know, not wanting to play as a 9 anymore. And I remember, you know, when I was sort of playing Sunday League, when I was say more like school level, not open age, you know, like year 7, year 8.
Yeah.
2 people played up front. Typically, everyone played 4-4-2 at Sunday League, and everyone wanted to play up front. Nobody wanted to play out wide. I remember myself playing on the right wing, and I was like, I don't want to play out here. I want to be up top. Like, that's where those scoring all the goals. And what's happened is, like you said, from that era, you had your Rooney's, Torres, you know, United strikers. I mean, Van Nistelrooy, like even post Cole and York, we had Solskjaer, Sheringham. These were all really good strikers, and to go, like you said, from that, teams can't even find one.
No, they can't.
Find one. I mean, Lewandowski's still probably top 3 9 in Europe, and it just says so much about, you know, what, like you said. I definitely do think there's something in it, and obviously, we might be in the back end of this where teams are going to start looking at it like, you know what? Why are we allowing like sort of all the kids to come in and play this role of left-footed, so I want to play on the right. You've seen it with Savio now. I'm really excited to see how this plays out with him on this. You know, he doesn't look like he's being moved at all. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think it's something that as a academy and a country as England, we should certainly look at.
Most definitely, I think we've got to in every single team in Europe has got to look at it. I mean, like you just mentioned, then the strikers from the past. You know, we had Kun Aguero, and then since that time, obviously we got Alvarez, who I actually am a fan of. I don't want to say anything bad on the guy, but he went. You know, everyone's going mad that we got 90 million for him. That's not on him. That's how dry the market is. That he is that special in this era of footballer, because there is no one really that close to him in terms of what he can do. So,
well, I mean, like you said, I mean, obviously the market. When you go back to say, like, you know, you try and not be nostalgic, but like 07, 08 era feels like a strong one to me, and probably even just before that. And it's like, you know, I look at that time and I think of like each big team had a really good striker, and even if you go back early 2000s, I know it's probably a bit before when you really started watching football, but like, I remember like when you was in the Champions League and you say pulled a Juventus or you pulled Inter Milan or a Barcelona, it was like, oh my god, Barcelona got Rivaldo, Juventus got Del Piero, Trezeguet, like these, it was like stacked. Real Madrid had Raul, like
it was ridiculous.
It was like every single sort of champ. Now you go Juve, Vlahovic, they want to on about a straight swap for Xerxes, like who's Inter Milan's Lautaro Martinez, and just what you said then about Alvarez, like I bet you the price of Lautaro, if say United completely lost it in the summer,
mate, it'd be like 120 mil.
Exactly, because there's no 9s at all. Look at our 2. We've spent 100 million on 2 9s that can't score.
Exactly.
Obviously,
that's the thing.
You got the golden ticket because he wanted to go to you and had a release clause, but you know, Christ, the queuing up for him would have been ridiculous.
So true.
mate, it's not even. Obviously, Lewandowski was like a Dortmund, back in the day. It's just like, yeah, it's frustrating really because you just feel like you're losing that sort of skill as a striker across Europe, and the Champions League suffering from it. I look at like every single Champions League team where it was like, I remember the sort of date, like I've just got talking about the 2000 era, and it was like you pulled like AC Milan in the knockout rounds, and it was like, oh my god, they got like Shevchenko up top, like this is going to be a real tough game defending.
Well, there was some serious ballers back in the day.
And R9, I remember R9 coming to Old Trafford scoring a hat trick, and it wasn't just, it was the aura these guys came with, it was like,
yeah.
Now you look at it, it's like, oh, AC Milan, is it Giroud still? I don't even know. And it's like, but every single team we talk about, Rafael Leao, left winger, wants to cut in for Milan. You played Juve, I know you lost, but you played Juve, and it was the lad on the left, I can't even remember his name. He was okay, a bit of pace, cutting.
Yeah, I know you mean. They're number 10.
Yeah, he looks alright.
Yeah, he did look okay.
Vlahovic up top, and you just. I mean, yeah, it's a shame really the way it's going, and you like to think cycles do happen in football.
Yeah, you'd hope. I mean, undoubtedly there's a correlation with we've flooded the market with these forward, like left forward, right forwards, and got no strikers. They've got to change the way academies are built to increase striker levels, to get some better quality strikers out there. Because I mean, at the minute, it's like, for instance, United. We'll get into it in a minute, but. It's easy saying, oh, when you go and sign a striker, who do you actually want to go and buy? Like you just said yourself, like Lautaro. Then I suppose is the closest thing to an old I'm not comparing him, by the way, but if you want like an Aguero type, a striker that can drop in and play, but he can also finish. How much are you paying for that guy?
This is it. I mean, it is. I mean, I know what you mean. I mean, this is obviously part of the. How we've been stung a little bit is because it's just not a case of going poaching someone anymore, because there's just like a lack of across the board. So look, you like to think cycles will sort of, and you look at all the top transfer fees that have been paid, the record signings in the last, you go like Neymar, Mbappe, probably number 1 and 2, I'd imagine, for PSG. I think he was 200 and the other one was 160. Grealish, who we'll come to in a minute, Anthony's probably up there. It's like they're all wrong-sided wingers. Obviously Bale at the time, when he was probably about 90 mil as well, so none of them are strikers anymore, and it just, like you said, it speaks about the market and the sort of what are the kids of today doing as they get into sort of academies. And I want to be a Salah, I want to cut in and score 25 goals, and I don't want to track back either, so you better have a that's the next issue, isn't it? Yeah, a physical right centre mid to cover me, and It's just, it's frustrating, man. Honestly, like you look at the amount of success. I mean, Guardiola won a league without a 9. Real Madrid won the Champions League without a 9 last season. It's just not. It doesn't feel the same. And I don't know, you see this a lot on social media. It's just like, I miss those days, but it is true. Like I said, I remember, sort of the young days of Champions. Like when I was a kid and coming home from school, and you had. You knew you was. I remember like playing Real Madrid in maybe 03, and they had like Zidane, R9, like Guti. I think we played them twice. I think Morientes was around, and it was like Hierro, and it was just like a ridiculously stacked team, and it was like you just sort of felt beaten before the game. Now you look at it and you think, you go and play Real Madrid now, okay, they've gone a little bit more star-studded now, but you go and you think, what, Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and an ancient Modric, it's just not the same, man. Like, when back in the 2000s, it was just completely different.
There's a definite lack in creative players at the moment. I mean, if you look around, we're in this problem at the minute. It's like we've got to go and replace Kevin De Bruyne, which, I mean, I mean, that's a task in any era,
Yeah.
let alone this one. I mean, if you're looking at it, who really comes to mind? What, Musiala, Verts? Who after that? Who
I
after
mean,
that is really,
Wednesday.
are you thinking we can even move on? You're going to have to, which is what City are very good at, well, they have been very good at in the past, is they keep going to South America and they're trying
Yeah.
to find the star before they're the star. They've got that
Yeah.
Echeverry or Echeverry or whatever he's called. He's like a City player. I think he's been loaned out for the rest of the season or something. But yeah, I think the thing is, just to summarise, we went a bit off topic, but to summarise on the City game, there was positives going forward. Listen, if we can get this press back and actually show something going forward, look, we're always going to have the frailties at the back at the moment, as long as, unfortunately, Rodri's out for the rest of the season, and we're not, even if we do replace him, we're not going to get anywhere near to the level he was or the cover he provided. So we're gonna, and I don't know what's
Still got
happening with the
great
defence.
Kovacic
So
on his own.
yeah, so the
Which,
thing is, as long as I can see something going forward, and as a bare minimum, we've got to make Champions League.
yeah.
So do you know what I mean? But there was positives in terms of we were doing, the basics right, and it was just good to see a bit of like forward play, a bit of excitement for the first time in a while, instead of it just being this
Right.
boring obsession with an inverted play. Which, to be fair, I tell you what, Arsenal have took our MO with that, and how's that working out? Because we're seeing, have teams just worked it out that they're like, fair enough, have you right back in midfield or Arsenal's like 5 centre backs or 4 centre backs that they've got on the pitch? Have one extra in midfield because they're not creative. So if we put a flat line in front of you, they're not going to be able to break it.
They're a fucking mess, aren't they, Arsenal? I definitely want to touch on them before we finish up today.
Yeah, there was just.
Just I suppose last point. I just wanted to ask you on I suppose it's a little bit on topic with a right-footed left winger, sort of one-dimensional, or he has become one-dimensional for whatever reason. When Grealish came on over Christmas, or it might have been the game on Saturday, they said he'd not scored or assisted in the calendar year. Obviously, he was signed for 100 million. He was a first season bit of a no-show, second season big part of the treble, and I mean, what has happened there? I mean, obviously I liked Grealish. I would have took him to the Euros in the summer as well, even though he had an off season for you last season. I still think he brings a little bit of a different skill set, and I think he should have gone. I still do believe that. I think Southgate should have took him in the summer. I'm not saying we would have beat Spain or whatever, but just, I mean, what? I suppose there's a few things here. Like, what has happened to him, and where do you go from here? What do you
In
do?
terms of what you were just saying, you are right, and I can understand. I wanted him to go to the England camp as well because he does offer something that the rest of them haven't got. He has got better ball retention than most of them. If you want to control the game of football, he's your man. But ultimately, you've got to show something going forward. If you're in the left wing position and you can't beat a man, I mean, I don't see him even try and take a man on anymore. It's got that regressive now. He gets the ball. There's no self belief. It's just, it feels like I just want to give it someone else. I don't even want it. I think going forward, if you're asking me what the plan is going forward, I do think I can't really see it being turned around now. I think. Did you see the Pep thing that came out in the week?
He definitely.
He said like Savinho's got your place. You've got to basically fight, prove that you're better than him to get it back. Well,
I was a bit alarmed with Grealish when he said after he got dropped for the Euros, despite what me and you probably thought he should have gone, but he could. I didn't think it was egregious from Southgate. I don't think he could have complained. Grealish, I think that he was left out. Rashford was left out. Southgate made some calls where it was like, you know what, Jarrod Bowen deserves to go. Whether I would have done that or not is a different sort of question. But I don't think Grealish could have sat there and Rashford for the most part. But I don't think either of them could have sat at home with their family and friends and gone, "It's a joke. How have I not gone to the Euros?" But in an interview, Grealish was talking about. After it, I think they asked him about it, and he was like, "I know I didn't have a great season statistically, but I still was.
I know what I bring."
And I was like, "Okay, I think your caveat should not have been that. Your caveat should have been, I didn't have a statistically a good season, and therefore I was dropped for the squad. Not I should have still gone, because then you look back and you look at the season and you think, well, you've not scored in a calendar year now, mate. How are you really grafting your way back to the? Because even the treble season, he was like, he played every game, but I feel like he. It's a weird one. I don't know what you think. I feel like he played every game because you were winning every game. I think if you'd have hit a run, he would have come out. Personally,
Yeah, I think. Listen, I did in that season. He was really good. However, it still felt like, is he going to be the man going forward permanently? Because he doesn't get anywhere near enough output on the wing, goals or assists. Even back then in that season, he wasn't doing enough. All it was the system. We were absolutely pummeling teams, and especially towards the back end of the season, we had that Stones come into midfield with Rodri, and no one could score against us, and we were just banging teams up front. So, yeah, Grealish now, I don't really think there's a future for him at City, in all honesty. I actually like the guy, but it's never been the move hasn't worked out, and I think he would be better moving on. I don't even know what's best for him either, because, the obvious one, I guess, would be go back to Villa, but they've gone in a completely different direction, and I don't see that he really makes them better.
Yeah, does he fit their sort of timeline? I mean, I just thought it'd be interesting to just look at his stats for Villa in the Prem when they came back up. So 8 goals, 6 assists, 6 goals, 10 assists. So he's never been mega output. And then for City, it's been 3 goals, 3 assists, 5 goals, 7 assists, 3 goals, 1 assist last season in 20 games. He must have been injured a lot. And then this season, 0 goals, 1 assist. I know we used the Bruno statistic that I put out on the last one with the yellow cards against goals.
Well, if he's got one yellow card,
Grealish has gone one better than that. So Jack Grealish in the last 2 seasons has got a total of 3 goals and 2 assists. He's got 10 yellows. He's got twice the amount of yellows as he has goals or assists for what was the best team in the country for one of those seasons. So, I mean, my Fernandes, more yellows than goals. Grealish has completely blown that out of the water. He's got double the amount of goals and assists.
What is this new breed of footballer? It's not I'm a 1 in 2 goal scorer. So I'm a 1 in 3 yellow carder.
I know he's we spoke about in the last one with Phil, didn't we? We were talking about sort of I think it was Fernandes again actually, who we will come to in a minute in a bit more of a different light than maybe I've spoken about him. But we spoke about some players that they can have no goals or assists in a game but be man of the match. Your obvious people like Iniesta, Xavi,
David Silva.
Silva, yeah, those extremely good footballers. Whereas and Grealish is in that where he is never he can have a 7.5 out of 10 and not actually score or assist. But he's just gone too far now. You can't defend it. It's defenders get goals, mate. I mean, you see obviously Gvardiol, but it's not just Gvardiol, mate. It's like look, United got one at the weekend. Lisandro Martinez, Arnold gets the odd one. It's like, to not get a fat 0. I mean,
yeah, it's like you're in that area of the pitch where you'd think even if you're not a goal scorer, you'd get a bobble or something. I think the thing is as well with Grealish, I do agree with you. He's not the kind of player that's ever going to get like a huge output. And listen, I think Pep was well aware of that when he signed him. He's not daft, but I think he's not even influencing the game as much as he once was without goals or assists anymore. So that's where it's becoming more glaringly obvious. And of course, as soon as I think we discussed this last time, didn't we? As soon as a dip in form comes, and especially one as bad as City's, the microscope comes out, doesn't it? And you're going to start looking at people and you're going, hang on, we're struggling for goals. That guy hasn't scored in a year. Doku has no end product. All of a sudden, all these players that were sort of going under the radar, and they're like, oh, it's all right, you know what I mean? They're now going to get piled on. And in fairness, Grealish, he does deserve it because he's not fit anywhere near enough. And then when he is on the pitch, he's not doing anything. So
I think that's another sort of layer to Grealish. I said to you a couple of weeks ago, there was a video going around on Twitter of Grealish's Villa highlights. And obviously we've just seen there he was never sort of mega stats there either. I mean, he the season you paid 100 million for him, he scored 6 goals and got 10 assists. That's pretty good. You know, I'm not having a go. He was only in 26 games actually, so that's very good.
Yeah.
But it was never eye popping stats. And but the thing that stuck out to me was like the way he moved and carried it, and he looked a bit slimmer. And I know sometimes like different kits can make you look a little bit like the Villa kit on the video was like skin tight. I don't know if you remember, but it just hit me that like like now it's not even a case of can he do it, he just won't. But then is that because he doesn't feel he's got the push off anymore?
What's your opinion of obviously I've said mine from a City fan point of view that I think not even slating the guy, I just think it's time to move on, and I think we need to go in a different direction as well. What would you say as like a United fan unlocking? Would you say he needs to move on?
Yeah, no, I think definitely. I think because you're in this position now where you're going to be moving players on anyway. Not that he's in your sort of golden era type player. He was a key player for one season. But I think now's if you're going to overhaul it, chuck him in because he's not going to get any better really. I mean, he might sort of, like you said. I mean, going back to my point, in the treble season, I feel like if you'd have hit a bad run, well, you wouldn't have won the treble, would you? If you'd hit a bad run, but I do feel like in that he would have been the first one to come out because it wouldn't have been Foden, it wouldn't have been Haaland, it wouldn't have been De Bruyne. So it's like you kept rolling the whole season and won everything. But I remember in the FA Cup final when he played against obviously United, you won that game. I was like, I just wouldn't have been that shocked. I felt like anybody could have played in that position over him. I think he got there because he was like Pep had his settled 11. He was like, I know this is my best team, and it obviously was. I just think time. Yeah, I mean, and City are usually good with moving players on. I just think that you've got to find. I mean, you're in a little bit of a United hole with his wages. And the fee as well, and it's like he's like you mentioned Villa. He must be on 250 a week, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's about that.
So you're in this position that United are in constantly, and we're in this with a fucking squad full now. So I would try and shift him, like you said. It could be a loan, like when expensive players don't work out, like Coutinho at Barca, where it's just like Christ, just loan him anywhere.
The rumours with Grealish seem to be Tottenham, and I can see it only because they wanted him years ago and never got him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we spoke on the last one about Rashford, didn't we? And I said to both you and Phil about not just what do you do with him, where do you send him, and personally, I think you've got to go to someone with money to burn because he's classed as a risk. If I was in Daniel Levy's sort of negotiation team and we were looking at players to sign, you've got, even if you get him for 30 million, you could still be binning that, and that's the risk. Rashford, another one. If you're going to go and buy Rashford, you've got to be willing to get zero back from that because of what we've seen. And
then again, it's the same guy that pumped 60 million on Solanke, innit? So anything's possible in it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just what are you going to get from him, and sort of the off the pitch. He's obviously well documented. The lad likes to party, and then you start.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. You're talking about what his fitness and things like that, and you're saying he looks a little bit different than he did at Villa. Well, I mean, yeah, I was finding it hilarious after we won the Champions League that he partied for a few weeks. But, it isn't good at the same time. It's funny when you win it, but now I'm looking at it thinking, what, is he doing this every weekend? Getting pissed out of his skull?
I mean, you've seen it with probably the best England player ever in Wayne Rooney, and he was finished at 30-31. Jack Grealish is 29, so you do sort of have to take that into consideration. Apparently Rashford loves it. The reason he got dropped apparently is that he was out partying on the Friday before the Everton game, which was on the Sunday, albeit he did score 2 in that somehow. But Yeah, look, I think it's going to be.
Get him back on the loopy juice.
I would, yeah, true. I know, yeah. I think that, yeah, I think, look, there's going to be overhaul in the summer, I would imagine, for
Yeah.
City. Chuck him into it. I mean, look, if you're going to be sending four of your best players ever out, if you can include him, I definitely would personally. And look, Savio's showing signs that he could be a potential starter for you, so give the keys to him,
I think, in all honesty, I can see Savinho's got a future in the first team. I definitely think that. I'd be happy to put my neck on the line with him because I do genuinely see something in him. To the point, I've been saying it to you anyway. It was really getting to me that he wasn't scoring or getting well, I mean, has had a couple of assists, but it was annoying me because I was like, I've got no evidence to say he's doing well. But when I was watching him in games, I was like, he does look a mint player. He got a good touch, beats his man. So yeah, I can see something in him. In terms of on the other side, I think a new winger will be coming in. There's big rumours about some lad from the Bundesliga that they're looking at. I'm pretty sure they're going to replace on the other side. And I think the front three will then be Savio, whoever they get in new, and Hojlund. So there's no space for Grealish. I don't even think Grealish is in the question anymore. I think it's a case of he is going, where do we send him, and who's going to pay? That's it for me now. So
you've seen it with sort of Guardiola's treatment of other players that fall out of shape, Calvin Phillips, and also not even just that, players that Guardiola signed that have been a bit of a gaff. He's just completely exiled them. You know, I know he's flirted with Nunes a bit this year, trying to prove something. Obviously, we've not seen him since the derby. So yeah, I fully think so. Yeah, I mean, obviously looking ahead, you got some favourable fixtures coming up. Could go into that PSG game on a 5-game win streak. Although Brentford, we'll get to Brentford, in a few. I'm just trying to think. Next week, isn't it? Next midweek.
Yeah. We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that later. I think there was one more thing just before we move on to United, obviously the Liverpool fixture. So we're being linked to. Do you remember Douglas Luiz from Villa? He's obviously at Juventus now, but played for Villa. Right. What do you think what did you think of him? Did you rate him?
God, I didn't even know he was at Juve. Did he play against you the other week? Did he?
Say again.
Did he play against you?
I don't think he played. No, I think that's the reason. I think he's struggling for game time.
I mean, are you talking like a stopgap here, or sort of?
Yeah, basically. There's a lot of rumours saying because obviously we sent him to Villa, didn't we?
I mean, look, I think January always lends itself to loans these days. I feel like if you go and buy him, he ain't going to play next season. So probably a loan wouldn't do any harm, but like I've not seen him. I thought he was okay at Villa. I mean, if Villa moved him on though, I mean, if they think Onana and Tielemans, albeit them two are very good, but yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, look, United have obviously utilised. Not last season, was it? Season before with Sabitzer, who we probably should have signed permanently, actually, considering you go and waste money after that on Mount. But you kind of think January, do we just get someone in? Like obviously Sabitzer came in because Eriksen got injured at the time, which is crazy looking back that Eriksen was a key starter. Yeah. I consider that as a loan. I wouldn't be getting permanent. I just wouldn't be wasting your money on it, really.
It feels. I think if we do go that route, it definitely will be a stopgap. It's not going to be City's future, is it?
Yeah. But
I think, mate, it's the January market. I don't think you're going to get because if there's someone out there that's good enough to fit into the Rodri position, the team that's currently got him is not going to sell him.
I mean, this is it.
Or if they do, they're going to charge you premium.
Every so often, you can sort of get a spare part from somebody else is a key player for you. I mean, like you said, why is a team shipping somebody in January if look, Sabitzer did okay for United. He was on the bench rotting away at Bayern because they were stacked. But you look at it and you think, well, God, should we not be aiming to be better than Bayern? I know obviously at the minute we're just aiming to be better than Brentford. But yeah, I think that January is a bit of a mystery, and there's been a bit more grumblings around you guys with the signings compared to United, where we've got just pure Twitter rumours at the minute. So I think you'll probably plug someone in, but I think loan suits City a bit more, really. Yeah. Unless you can get a serious bit of gold somewhere, but
No, I
he,
agree.
he said, you know, can you go unless you launched at Frankie de Jong? But apparently he's been crap. So again, it's like the name looks great, but he's going to want mega money, and he's fell off to the point where no Barca can't shift him. So it's an interesting one. It's a tough one, January, but yeah.
Have you been keeping up with that Danny Olmo situation, by the way?
Yeah, that's interesting. I did think of Olmo when you were talking about Verts and Musiala.
Yeah, he's the other one. To be
Yeah,
fair,
I mean, he's mad keen on Barca. I mean, he's on about just waiting for him, which is wild, isn't it?
so to be honest, right? That's why I asked you if you kept up with it because I don't fully know. So has he not kicked a ball?
No, he did. He definitely started the season, and they have not been able to. He definitely has played for them.
Yeah, because I'm sure I saw an Insta reel of him. I was positive I saw him playing, but what?
No, he definitely has. He was part of their good start to the season, and then obviously there must have been a registration cut-off point for La Liga, and Barca have obviously provided the books, and they're way over. They have salary caps in La Liga, and they're a mess financially. I mean, Bartomeu, he absolutely destroyed them. And Laporta's trying to sort of, he's selling the naming rights of fucking everything to try and sign players.
The thing is, the guy they've brought in hasn't really done much better as well because, I mean, they've had some gaffes, haven't they? They took Ferran off us, who, by the way, the fans are awful towards. He gets... I was following Barca's Instagram. Barca put he's got an injury. And the fans below were basically saying, good, we don't want to see him again.
Oh, this is, Madrid and Barca are absolutely shocking for it. I mean, obviously we'll get to Liverpool after United or during with the Arnold stuff. And
man, well, it'd be a good place to transition anyway.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So, obviously City have got Salford at the weekend, which we could try and preview later this week, Friday or something. And you never know, there might be a bit more talk in the January window. So yeah, obviously we'll shift to United, which we did a watch along yesterday, which was really good fun. I enjoyed it, and yeah, 2-2. Obviously, neither of us predicted that. Even the ever optimistic Phil Keogh, who really, as he's me and him are a little chalk and cheese when it comes to sort of optimism with Man United, and even he said, I really fear the worst. So yeah, I mean, I really want to get into sort of how the game went, and why we were successful, and then why we're not successful every single week with this system. So a little bit linked to the post match, and Amorim speaks fantastic. I mean, that's obviously one of the best things about him is his compared to Ten Hag, who really, really struggled, lacked charisma, didn't speak great English, was really arsey with the media, and obviously Amorim is, an absolute. He's more like a Ranić sort of honesty level.
Damn right.
And obviously we've been talking for since the City game about the system, and Amorim mentioned it to the guy in the interview yesterday, and he went, I know you all keep talking about the system, but I'm telling you, it's not the system. It's these guys have, all you can pick from is what he said, mentality issues, and he didn't say it, but he basically said they don't get up for every game. Right, so this is obviously, it lures you into the thing of United are going to lose 4-0. You said it. United are going to lose 4-0. Even City away, I know you was in a bad run of form, and nobody was thinking United were going to go and win there. Obviously they did, and did okay. They were really quite calm in the match. And what's really astounding is that these guys, this group of players that have been put together over about a 3-year span, there's some, like your Rashfords who've been there a little bit longer, but generally there's a lot of Ten Hag guys in this squad. These players have come 3rd, 8th, and now are 13th in the Premier League, and they've won an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup. They've never gotten any far in the Champions League. They went out in the group stages and they got knocked out in the Europa dead early in Ten Hag's first season. They've done nothing with regards to trophies. They beat City in a one-off game in the FA Cup, which was a great win. Obviously enjoyed it, but for this team to have the arrogance that they don't that the manager has to stand there in front of Sky media and the whole world asking Amorim why are they shit against Bournemouth, Forest and Newcastle, and he has to go the big game they get up for. Honestly, I'm happy with the performance, and there's two things here. There's been a lot of negativity since the City game from myself and all United fans, really. We've felt very, very down, and we've been blaming the system. I've sort of started lumping on as well on the 3-4-3, and I'm just ashamed that this squad of players, and I don't know where it's coming from. Like, you've touched on how rotten it is, and to the core. I don't know if it's the captain in Fernandes or if it's Rashford or the Sancho. I don't know what it is, but how dare these players think that they don't have to get up for Forest at home, but Liverpool away, massive game, go and put in a performance and probably should have won. And Amorim, massive credit to the guy, goes, I played the same system today that I played at home to Bournemouth, and a lot of the same team. Mainu and Ugarte started that game. Okay, Newcastle's a separate, there was an issue with the lineup there. And he has to stand there and go, the reason Bournemouth beat us 3-0 is because these players were more up for it at Anfield than they were at home to Bournemouth. I'm just a shit. I am honestly disgusted that these players have won nothing. It's not even like they scabbed a league and they are taking a year off. They should be coming back from last season, and you see the post, sorry United fans, it's not been the season you all wanted. I hope we've ended it on a good note for you all. Like, yeah, we enjoyed the FA Cup. Don't come back and stink the gaff out in the Prem again. They've come back and they've got worse. And one manager's been sacked. Okay, I didn't highly rate Ten Hag, but he's caught for it. And another one, people have been talking about Amorim. Is he going to make the summer with this lot? I'm just so.
Well, when I said to you the other day, and I was like, rotten to the core, this is exactly what I meant, and he's proven it by saying what he said, Amorim.
Yeah.
I think the problem is when you were saying who is it? Is it Rashford? Is it someone else? I think the thing is you've had so many of these Rashford type players that have gotten away with acting this way, and then you're signing in new players and bringing in younger lads into that fold. And I think this is how it's like the bad apple has spread, had it.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately now that's what I was meaning from it's rotten from the core, because I think it's gone from whether it was just one or two individuals, but they've kept getting managers sacked, and then the behaviour has got worse. Other players are coming into the fold, and it's capitulating around. And to be fair, I'm glad Amorim came out. He was so pissed off, by the way. And to be fair, a lot of United fans around obviously I did the watch along with you. I was like, fair play. I said, well done for that. But he went in there and he was like, he was fucking fuming at what he'd seen, because he'd obviously seen the drop off, and he's like, what is going on?
Yeah, obviously he's getting his system that he believes in absolutely slaughtered. And there is issue. Look, this team is not built for 3-4-3. However, I have been saying this, said it to you, said it to my mates who support United. These players were shit in a 4-2-3-1 for a manager that signed them. Their record is very similar. Certainly after the point of the weekend, there's probably about 2 points in it in the same games played with Ten Hag and Amorim. And the two games that these lot have decided to put in a decent showing, they were very good yesterday. I thought they were pretty good at City. Is Etihad away, where we have not got a great record. Ten Hag got battered in both of his seasons there. And Anfield, I don't think we've scored since the Mourinho days at Anfield, and they go there and should have won and scored two good goals. So there's two things here. You talking about I am certainly siding with Amorim on how I feel after yesterday, and it's like I don't want to sort of get carried away with the performance or the point, because I share his frustration, and every United fan should, that these players think, and look, you don't, like you said, you don't know exactly the root of it. You can take a guess at some of them, and one of them is not in the squad at the moment, and it feels like he's been identified as one of the big issues. Sancho was another one that's been completely forced out by Ten Hag. and you look at it and you think, you saw the application from the players yesterday, and it was so much better. Me and you were talking before the game kicked off. You know, don't go there and be stood in the tunnel like against Newcastle. I know there's sort of a talent issue in that team because we had Eriksen and Casemiro playing. Don't go there and let them walk all over you. You know, if you're going to lose, lay a glove on them. And we laid a glove on them, and we're the better team. And I don't understand how you can't lay a glove on Bournemouth and be the better team. No disrespect to Bournemouth, by the way. And that's exactly. And Amorim said, "Look, I am doing everything. I know the issue with this lot, and rest assured, I am doing everything I can to correct it." And honestly, I swear to God, you can clip this. If United get relegated, which I don't think they will, but say they did, say it just didn't get better, I would keep Amorim, and I would go down to the Championship with Amorim and let him sell pretty much everyone he wanted. I back his judgment based on what he said yesterday, and I would let him build a team that the fans can be proud of, and that's exactly where I feel at the minute. We can play badly, but the application is the most important thing. And seeing the boys yesterday getting stuck in, and you know, really putting a shift in, Garnacho coming on and grafting. I didn't think he was that good, but he grafted. And look, these players need to know how lucky they are. They play for Man United, and the fact that a Manchester lad seems to have been identified as the bad apple makes me feel pretty sick, to be honest, because he's the United fan who made it, and millions of United fans as kids dream of playing for Man United and don't, me being one of them, and that at 26 years old he is being exiled from the squad and the club, and hopefully it looks like they're trying to sell him in January because his attitude is appalling, and he has affected some other squad members. It makes me feel sick, to be honest. I'm just so glad we have a coach that seems to be identifying it, and you can argue about 3-4-3 and all this other shite, and he said it to the fucking guy who interviewed him. He said, "I know you've been all on about this 3-4-3," and he basically said, "I've played this system every game since I've come in, and I've won at the Etihad and should have won at Anfield. Don't be coming to my system and saying, why are you losing 3-0 to Bournemouth? Why are you?"
That's a fair point, yeah.
And I'm just got a complete backing of the guy.
I think the scary thing is, as well, he didn't need to come out and do that at that moment, because we were all thinking, like, United fans and him aligned would probably be in quite a good mood on the back of that performance. He was pissed off because he's like, well, if this is the level you can produce, don't embarrass me next week if we play fucking Southampton and you're stinking the gaff out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can understand from his point of view, especially if his tactics are getting absolutely bashed in the media, when really he's looking at it going, it doesn't matter, because if I'm playing this against the best teams in England and these lot are showing they are capable.
Yeah, I just want to touch on this. It's kind of a good segue into what I wanted to say about the system as well, because we briefly spoke about 3-4-3 yesterday, and it's been a major talking point, obviously, like Amorim said, and I just want to talk about the two games that it's been successful in. I know he's won a couple of us, but the two biggies was obviously Etihad away and Anfield. And I was looking at the statistics. I think I sent the stats to you for the City game. I know you were pissed off from a City perspective, but from a United perspective, once you'd settled down, you said that I can't remember the last time United came to the Etihad and have 50% of the ball, and I know the system lends itself to more possession because you have the extra guy, but if you look at both those games, we created chances, and certainly yesterday, I know that the City game was a bit tighter, but it wasn't just 50% and couldn't create. We scored 2 at City, 2 at Anfield, and had other chances, and the possession yesterday was 48% as well, so same as City, and definitely had the better of the chances yesterday. And Amorim's basically saying, I sort of thought, well, the system is quite good in big games. Some managers do go to it anyway. Ollie used to do it a lot with United. We'd go to Stamford Bridge and he'd go to a back five. But it feels a bit different under Amorim because, yes, he is playing a back 5-3, or however you look at it, but it's been successful in ways it isn't for other coaches. Like when Ollie did it, it was a part of the bus. Amorim isn't parking the bus in these games that he's been successful in. So to his point, he's not saying it's not better against these big teams because I'm sitting back, soaking pressure and hitting them on the counters. I'm actually going toe-to-toe with City away and Liverpool away, and I've had success in those two games. You now want me to change that against Southampton?
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is as well, I mean, I'm guessing Amorim is sort of part of his point was that what he sees at Carrington, and I'm guessing that rolls into his point that he's on the training pitch, he is seeing good things. We saw great things yesterday from United, and individually, we said after the game, everyone was a 7 out of 10, some 8s, except Hojlund, who we'll get to, but generally, every player turned up yesterday, and no complaints about anyone. Like I didn't think that Xerxes and Garnacho set the world alight when they came on, but they came on and grafted and won some balls and tracked back, you know.
Yeah, I guess this further fuels Amorim's point as well, because the big things me, you and Phil were discussing was players in this system that physically won't be able to play it through no fault of their own. They're just not.
Yeah.
They've not got the skill set required to perform in this system.
Yeah.
One of those names was Dalot, and he was probably your best player. So it does lead to... Now, I'm not saying Dallow's one of them guys who is not giving enough, but it does make you question how many of them in the squad are there that can't be asked in these games, that when you're at home to Bournemouth or Newcastle or whatever, do you know what I mean?
It's a really good angle to look at it because, like you said, from the outside looking in, you don't look at Dalot, if you want to just talk about Dalot, you don't look at Dalot or Martinez on paper as guys who don't care. They've been better players for United than most. Dalot won that player of the season last year, I think. But then you look at their performances and their level drops, and we go, fucking hell, Martinez defending was shite, Dallow's not got a brain. And you think, hang on, is this their preparation, their application in these games? When you see Isaac wander straight ahead of Martinez and get a free header in the 6-yard box, and you think, is that shit defending, or is he just not fucking bothered because it's Newcastle at home? And to your point, exactly how many of them that you think the on paper guys who care, have they been? Have we missed the trick with a few of them? So no, I like I said, complete full backing of Amorim. The rebuild needs to happen with new players coming in. But honestly, the biggest thing for Man United now is to gut this squad and reset. Yeah. And you look at this squad and you think, who are the guys that are good at football, one, and also have a great attitude?
What you need as well is you need characters. Like, for instance, we struggle, I'm not going to lie, in this area, post-Company. Diaz is the only one, really, that's he's got a great leadership role within the squad. Other than that, we do sort of lack it a little bit since Company. I think they have felt it since his departure, but ultimately the level of the City players was that high. It was, we could sort of get away with it. We've had like Walker as the captain. I don't get that leadership from Walker whatsoever.
I mean, our captain is Bruno Fernandes.
You've got United have got the biggest problem of all. I mean, listen, I'm not going to get Bruno in this because we've done it already. Maybe a bit too much on the guy. And he was actually good yesterday. However, there was a point, I just want to say one thing in the game. Yeah. It just leans to that you've got this guy as captain. He's doing a fucking Rabona at Anfield away. What score was it? Was it 0-0 at the time? Or?
Yeah, it was 0-0, building pressure. And
you need some of them characters. And I'm not even saying like a Roy Keane. Yeah. I'm saying like even a medium ground of just someone that can be that steady ship in the team, and they can lay the rules.
There's players in there that I like personalities of, and also think they're good players. There's not many of them, but I do think that certainly Mainu and Ugarte are two that I really sort of have seen haven't seen anything bad from, and certainly have been good in the last few. And you're looking at those guys and you're thinking, we need to lead. Like you look at like Lenny Yoro coming on in games like yesterday. He's like 18 years old. I don't want him getting led astray and thinking that it's okay to go out partying on a Friday because Marcus Rashford does it, or whinging at refs and not turning around and getting set because Bruno Fernandes does it. And this is what we've got to do. And obviously Fernandes is a bit of he has always been a bit of a maverick, where he has even his play style. The best thing Fernandes can do is be the best player on the pitch, which I thought he had an argument for yesterday, and lead by that example, because his personality is not a captain and he never will be. But when we've seen the best of Fernandes in his first 2 seasons, he was an obvious candidate to be captain because he was the best player. And I have got a theory on Fernandes that I'm really interested in how this is going to play out. So, end of last season, he actually started missing games. Now, his appearance record and injury record is immaculate. The guy plays every single game, mostly 90 minutes. And I honestly thought it was starting to wane on him a little bit, and his form was suffering from it. And towards the end of last season, he started missing games. And he actually ended the season really well. Like, he had really good games. He missed the 4-0 at Palace, didn't play, and he had a few knocks here and there. And then when the season was going to complete shit in the Prem, it was like he actually got left out. Played well in the FA Cup final, had a fantastic assist to Mainu. Comes back this season. He had the tournament, the Euros, and then no pre-season, and he's looked knackered again. And it's interesting that he got a red card and he was suspended for the last game. He got a red card against Wolves, missed Newcastle, and comes back yesterday and looks fantastic. He was, like I said, he could have been man of the match, and there was a few candidates from United, which is amazing to say for once. But that's what he needs to do, and the guys around him, your Delicks, your Martinez, those and Ugarte and Mainu, they have to lead. They have to be captains for him because his personality just doesn't lend it. But Fernandes can be the best player on the pitch if he plays like he did yesterday. And I've said a lot of things on Fernandes in the last couple of weeks, and I know that if he goes on to play like yesterday, it's going to be, people can pull him up and go, oh, I don't know what he's talking about. The first thing I actually said on Fernandes is he needs to go. The first thing I said was inconsistent. And before we got onto any stats or anything like that, and this is the point now. So you have a 9 out of 10 game at Anfield away. What are you going to do at Arsenal away and Southampton at home? Are you going to be the best player on the pitch? And I'm really talking about Southampton at home. You need to be the best player on the pitch. If you're not, you lead straight back to my point of get rid, inconsistent, and that's been my Bruno irk for about 2.5 years now. So
it only further proves your point if he then dips back to the level he has shown of late in the next games. You know what I mean? He's got to show, if he is capable of that level, you've got to see it more often. I think that's all your point is at the end of the day.
He dropped into subbed Mainu, didn't he, after an hour for Garnacho, and dropped Bruno into centre mid with Ugarte, and we didn't drop our level. And Mainu was one of the best players on the pitch when he got subbed. So,
one thing I will say as well on Amorim, because I did, not that I had a pop at him or anything, but in the previous podcast, or one of the previous ones, I basically alluded to, is he a manager of limited, capabilities if he's just saying, oh, this is my idea, I'm never straying from it.
Yeah.
I've got to play this system, I haven't got another idea. I think he was I think that was more mind games, because he showed in that Liverpool game he will change system if he needs to, because he did. He dropped Bruno further back. So we're not seeing it. I don't think it's an Ange thing where you look at Spurs, they won't change. He will not change it. They'll be 3-0 down. Ange has this thing where this is the way I play, and I am not changing it. I don't put Amorim in that calibre whatsoever. I do think he will change. So
it's a good point, because obviously it's a huge change going. The system, the formation stayed the same, but like you said, I mean, you change personnel to that degree of you drop a number 10 into a number 8 position, and Mainu is a ball retention sort of player. and put in a creative number 10 who likes to score, and then a winger in Bruno's position. It was a huge change. I mean, you could say we improved for the last 20. We were I think we were maybe losing when Maynard got subbed, and we should have come back and won 3-2. So yeah, I mean, look, it's nice to see those things when they come off, and I just think that Amarim's points around system and sort of stuff like that is really one to watch now. I want us to be really aggressive. I'm looking at, forget Southampton. I mean, you have to beat them. We should be beating them without a manager. No shade at Southampton, but they've got 6 points at the halfway point of the season. They're probably, I think they could be looking at Derby's record at this rate. So yeah, I'm thinking Arsenal, and I know we're going to come to Arsenal in a minute, and obviously Liverpool as well.
Stinker hooked.
But you look at that and you think, oh well, it's a big game, so by the fucking squad's reckoning, they should be getting up for it. And Amarim is adamant he is going to sort these lot out. Where Southampton at home, you are playing aggressively. You're on the front foot. You're not missing tackles. I said to you at the Bournemouth Boxing Day game, and Maguire was really good against Hojlund and City, and he was really good yesterday. You said yourself the back three were class, front foot, aggressive, sliding in but not fouling.
Yeah.
Evan Nielsen, who's not as good as Diaz or Salah or Gakpo, decent player. Look, Evan Nielsen is quite a nice striker. Maguire, he was awful. He was not getting tight, then getting tight at the wrong moments, getting rolled, getting bullied off it, then he's fouling, and it's just error after error after error. And the one foul he made yesterday was a clean tackle on Salah, and he got
yeah.
But is Maguire's mindset coming into this like, fuck me, I've got Haaland this afternoon, I've got Diaz, and my manager's on my back saying, I want you, do not be sitting back like we did under Ten Hag and Ollie on the edge of your penalty box, heading everything out. I want you aggressively on Diaz's first touch yesterday. Yeah. And is he going into that? But then I'm sure Amarim's saying the same thing, where if that ball goes into Evan Nielsen, I want you to fucking get absolutely little boy him. And is he going into it like, fucking Bournemouth?
I think with Maguire, he is the anomaly in my eyes, because that guy is so strange. He can look so good, and I'm not talking from one game to the next. I'm talking from 1 minute to the next.
Yeah.
It was like yesterday. You kind of turned around on the watch along, or something happened anyway. I was like, did you fucking see that? The guy, he just randomly just passed it out of play. Wasn't even a player there. He just has these absolute head-gone moments, but he has them so frequent. So with him, I certainly don't think it's an attitude thing. I just think that's him. And you ultimately, until you get someone better, you're going to have these moments where 1 minute he's looking mint, the next he looks shit, and that's it, really.
But like, if he goes up against Southampton and their number 9 is rolling him and winning free kicks, cheap fouls, and he's fucking all over the place, I am going to look at that and go, Luis Diaz does not play for Southampton.
Diaz, I know your point. I understand what you mean.
Let's see, and like you said, there could be some dark horses with this attitude where Maguire doesn't strike you as an unprofessional sort of guy. You think that he's we can debate his ability as a centre half, but he's always been he seems quite a nice bloke and wants to do well. But it does make you think that, like you said, Dalot. I mean, again, on paper, you think, this Dalot is just a bit inconsistent. But is Amarim looking at this going, these guys are good at Carrington, you lot don't see it. The reason I'm not changing formation is because I'm watching them at Carrington and going, these can go to Anfield and get a win.
Yeah, they're capable,
That's fucking right. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the 3-4-3 working in 2 big games against 2 good teams. I know City were not, obviously not the City of old, but it's still, you've not been getting licked at home, other than Tottenham. So, and then obviously Liverpool, best, like we were talking about their form coming in, I think they scored about 14 goals in 3 games. So, no, look, I'm really, really pleased on the performance, and it gives you something to sort of cling to. And when your manager says, this is my job to sort it, it gives you that feeling that, can he just somehow get through to them to salvage the season with a Europa League run? Because you play like that yesterday. They're top of the Champions League. They've won they won 7 out of 7 or whatever they've won. And you think, who's in the Europa League? Tottenham? Like, really? Man United should be thinking we can knock them out in 2 legs. And it's like, if Amorim can get through to these idiots and get them to fucking treat teams with respect, okay, we're going to come, look, even if we go on a good run, we're going to come 7th or below, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But put the cup run together. Knock Arsenal out. You know, these things that fans can... We salvaged the season last year with an FA Cup win. So I'm really hoping that... we can actually do something this season in one of the cups, and Europa League is a ticket into the Champions League as well. So would be great for Amorim to get into that. So yeah, look, I mean, I think there's things to definitely take from yesterday, and yeah, man, let's see what happens. I think the only other thing I wanted to touch on linked to yesterday was Hojlund, who I whinged about for pretty much the whole game yesterday, and pretty much the whole season really. And obviously didn't play very well. Just the long-term issue with Hojlund and this. I've got something for you actually. I was scrolling Twitter earlier, and I thought, okay, I'll bookmark this for when we jump on.
Yeah.
This has been my be my bonnet. I said this to Phil. Phil,
go on.
You know, he does like Hojlund. It's a Twitter account I don't follow. I don't have a clue who this is, by the way. Freddie Quinn, whoever this guy is, he's got 12,000 likes on this, so obviously it must be a good tweet. Hojlund is 21 years old. When Gyökeres was his age, he was on loan at Swansea, scoring 0 in 11. Lewandowski scored 8 in 33. Ibrahimovic was scoring 13 a season at Ajax. Just because Mbappe and Haaland are freaks doesn't mean everyone else has to be. Most players need time to develop. Got a real issue with a lot of that, but just wait. He's then added to this. So he goes, just to add to this, do I think he's good enough to lead the line for United right now? No. But neither was almost any great striker in history at his age, bar a few outliers. Just because Hojlund isn't that player right now, this is my favourite bit, just because Hojlund isn't that player right now, doesn't mean he can never be. He's got loads of potential. My favourite word. It's not his fault that he cost 64 million. It's not his fault the club didn't bring in another proven centre forward, whatever the fuck that means. A few bad games isn't enough to write a player off, especially at his age, as we've seen so many times before. He doesn't add to that by saying who the many times before are, all these players at 21 that go on to be good enough for Man United, because me and you know what it takes to be a striker to win a Premier League with. We could go maybe one for another day where we list them. So it's just really interesting, these back-to-back tweets from a guy who's got a lot of support on them as well.
First of all, I'm going to message Phil in a minute and tell him he needs to delete his Twitter account, because that is awful.
Yeah, sorry. When they say Freddie Quinn, it's actually at Phil Keogh. I'm not joking.
On a serious note, he's putting all that right, and he's saying it's not his fault the club did not bring in, another striker? What, you mean on top of the 70 million they paid for him?
Well, I mean, look,
what's the main one going to cost then? What do you want to do? Sign one for 70 and one for 150 and let the 71 rotate?
So he lists, I find it really interesting that he lists 3 players. He lists Gyökeres, he lists Lewandowski and Ibrahimovic, right? So what he's basically doing is he's hand-picking the ones that have improved. He's not listed the long list of strikers at 21 who didn't improve. The thing that he's missing here, he's a fucking idiot, whoever this guy is. But he's listed Lewandowski and Ibrahimovic. Gyökeres is a bit of a different one because I've not watched him enough, to be fair. His goal record's incredible, but forget Gyökeres because I don't really know much about him now, to be fair.
Yeah,
he listed Lewandowski and Ibra, their goal records. Here's the big problem with this, and I'm surprised he didn't get halfway through his tweet and realise what an idiot he is. So Lewandowski is one of the technically best number 9s Europe has ever seen. His hold-up play is incredible and was incredible at Dortmund. He's gone on Wikipedia and seen he scored 8 in 33, and he thinks that's comparable to Hojlund. He's then put Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic might be the most technically gifted 9 over the height of 6'1" there's ever been. Coming from a guy who doesn't love Ibra, by the way. Ibrahimovic could score any type of goal. He could shoot from 30 yards. He took free kicks. He was ridiculously good in the air. He could dribble. He could get round players. Lewandowski is one of the best shooters from 18 yards and closer. And he's handpicked them as his argument that Hojlund is going to get better. Hojlund could not be further from them two, skill set wise, if you made him in a computer. Hojlund doesn't have a first touch, so straight away he is not comparable to Ibrahimovic. Has one of the best first touches a tall 9 has ever had, and Lewandowski's not far behind. He then goes, do I think he's good enough to lead the line for Man United right now? No. Well, why not? Because he should be. If he's as good as if you think he's going to be as,
if he's the future fucking Zlatan. Right,
this is the point. Lewandowski scored 8 in 33. Well, so Klopp played him 33 times at Dortmund. Ibrahimovic scored 13 a season at Ajax, which is not that bad to be fair. They were good enough at the time because they had other qualities. What he's doing is handpicking goal stats. My issue around Hojlund isn't his goals. I don't think his goal return's shit, but he can't get a grip of the ball. It's not even like an Onana punt. It's Ugarte and Mainu trying to play it up to him and link the play, keep the ball and getting it to feet and losing it.
Dude, this is the thing. If you're having to go to Wikipedia to convince me a player is going to become better, you should just abandon it straight away. What you should come to me with is, here's something that he's really good at, and I'm seeing potential in this area. I think he can reach this because I've seen him do this. Instead, you're going on the internet and going, oh, well, at this point, Ronaldo only had 20. Yeah, but he's not Ronaldo, is he? And we can all clearly see that. So your argument's nil and void. Use your eyes. Watch the games. Has this guy got the ability? To be honest, mate, I was going to say something about Hojlund as well. I don't even think the guy's Prem level. Never mind Manchester United level.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive...
a genuine
argument. A bollock has been dropped. You've paid this much money for this guy. What annoys me, right? Thing is, I'm a City fan, so I kind of find it funny from a distance because I feel like there's two fan bases that are terrible for this. You're one, and I think Arsenal are the other that are really bad for it. And you will sign guys who everyone can see you've dropped a bollock, but the fan base plays into the ownership's hands by going, oh, no, he's a great sign, they're going to come good. Nicolas Pepe. How long were they peddling that one for? Until they leave and they're going, oh, he was shit.
Havertz.
And this is exactly what happens with United. They go, oh, yeah, potential.